wanted to fuck around. Now you found out. And we're live with another episode of BS Busters. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who are joining us live, those of you who will be watching the replay, thank you. Before we go any further, I'll have my other panelists introduce himself, and then we'll get started. Go ahead, sir. Introduce yourself.
Welcome to the Crow Buffet, where all we sell is crow and humble pie.
That's right. This is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. Let's get started. So we have some decent topics tonight. We're going to talk about Microsoft continuing to sway regulators in Europe to allow their Activision Blizzard acquisition by leaking and saying basically Microsoft is doing their best to show that them acquiring AB is not going to be a big deal by just telling some shit that's like, man, why would you say that out loud? Now, a lot of this is embellishment, but some of it, behind every embellishment, there's a grain of truth somewhere.
Yeah.
And Sony's desperately trying to prevent it from happening because Sony knows that if Microsoft has access to, if Microsoft is getting money, it's going to be the same thing that is getting money from every Call of Duty sold. It doesn't matter if Call of Duty's on Sony platforms. Microsoft's still going to be taking money, getting money. Money's going to be going out of Sony's pocket and going into Microsoft's, because Sony's still going to want those exclusivity deals and all that type of stuff, and that's money that's going to go to Microsoft. So, yeah, Sony. Look, there's one company that's shitting in their pants about this acquisition, and it ain't Activision Blizzard or ZeniMax or Take Two or 2K. It's Sony. Sony is literally shitting their pants. We're going to talk about Pokemon's bad technical performance on the Switch. We're going to talk about Paper Mario's downfall. And then we're going to talk about general Thanksgiving holiday memories. And we'll close it out with hot takes and free topics. So, without much ado, let's get started with Microsoft's continued attempts to sway regulators in Europe to allowing their AB acquisition. So, basically, Sony fired back by essentially saying that that Xbox wants Sony to be like Nintendo, which sounds kind of stupid to me.
Yeah.
Because basically, here's what they said. I will screen share this so that people won't be like, oh, well, you know. This is from Push Square. So, Sony and Microsoft's very public war words continues with paperwork published by the UK government today outlining PlayStation's stance against Xbox's unprecedented near $70 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. In the document, the Japanese giant's legal team responds to a point from its Redmond rival, which suggests that Nintendo has been able to compete fine without access to the all-important Call of Duty franchise. Nintendo Switch has, of course, become a powerhouse platform, but it competes less directly with PlayStation and Xbox, offering a portable, more family-friendly alternative. Sony's legal team argues this exposes Microsoft's true strategy, it claims. True strategy in quotes. Open quote, Microsoft wants PlayStation to become like Nintendo so that it would be a less close and less effective competitor to Xbox. Post-transaction, Xbox would become the one-shop stop for all the best-selling shooter franchises on console. Open parentheses, Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, Doom, Overwatch, close parentheses, close and close brackets, quotational pause, and it would then be free from serious competitive pressure, period, in quotes. It's a hard point to argue with, really. While some may propose PlayStation has first-person shooter franchise of its own, like Killzone, it's been almost 10 years since the last installment in that series. And Sony also argues that such is the scale of Call of Duty, it's effectively impossible to create a rival brand at this point. We're not sure whether Microsoft truly wants PlayStation to become like Nintendo, but we can see the point. As things stand, there's overlap between Xbox Series X and S and PS5, where both consoles compete for similar consumers. Taking away Call of Duty would tip the scale significantly in Microsoft's favor for a lot of those players. Thoughts?
Um, I you have 10 years, Sony, to create an IP that can rival Call of Duty. That's, I think, more than enough time to create a
Something good,
relatively,
decent.
yeah, something decent.
I mean, they just bought Bungie. They got the Halo studio. And I know
Mm-hmm.
people will be like, well, 343, has 343 made anything that was as good as the first three Halo games?
No, and Bungie has made the premier
Yeah,
free
Destiny.
to play game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know why the heck they can't just utilize Bungie to make a first person or a first party game that can
Yeah,
rival Call
their
of Duty.
argument is kind of stupid. They're like, well, we can't compete against them. It's like, well, Nintendo, I mean, and here's the thing. The argument that Nintendo doesn't compete against Microsoft and Sony is bullshit because if you are a consumer and you have $350 to spend on a big ticket Christmas gift this holiday season or holiday gift this holiday season, you have a choice between an Xbox or a Switch. Because you can get a Series S for $299 with a game, or a Game Pass, which gives you access to a metric fuck ton of games, or you can get a Switch in one game. Okay?
Yeah,
I don't mean they're competing against each other, but if you're a consumer, you have, like, okay, business wise, they might not be consuming they might not be competing with one another. But to a consumer who has a certain amount of money to spend on certain things, there is a competition because they have to think, where am I going to spend my money?
yeah,
Okay. So and Nintendo's been just fine. I mean, I think the last time Nintendo has had a Call of Duty was Black Ops on the Wii U, and that was a port, like a late
yeah,
port too. It wasn't like time and date with the other ones. So like Sony, they just scared.
yeah.
I mean, for lack of a better word, what's that? What's that? The ghetto boys say, "Don't be scared." They just scared. They scared.
Mm.
They scared.
Yeah, I don't know why, because when they bought, and I know people have brought this up, and I brought this up, but it's like when they bought Minecraft, it still remained on everything.
Yep.
It's on Sony, it's on Nintendo, it's on a toaster, it's
Yep.
on your refrigerator,
They
it's
they
on
they
your
bought
Raspberry Pi.
ZeniMax, Skyrim. Skyrim is still look. Skyrim, Fallout 76. That shit is still on all the shit it's on.
Yeah,
Now, would it like it doesn't make financial sense for Microsoft to be like, yeah, we're going to continue. We're going to put Starfield on the PlayStation 5 because it's a first party studio now. They have no incentive to do that. If Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, they have no incentive to put first party games because they are first party games on other people's hardware. They have no incentive to do it. They shouldn't. They don't have to.
yeah,
It's like basically Sony right now is making the argument that, like, let's say that there's a lake, right? You live in a community
yeah,
that has a lake, and it was like generally speaking, it was on public property or at least non-claimed property, okay? And everyone used that lake. And then someone came and bought the land that the lake was on, and they're complaining, well, I won't be able to use that lake anymore. Well, it's not your lake anymore. It never was your lake, but you were allowed to use it because it was unclaimed property, and now someone bought it, so it's not open anymore.
yeah,
Like I mean, I realize you may be upset, but I mean, like you don't really have any bearing to say that it should be yours. And I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, "Well, this is why do you like? How are you? Why are you complaining about?" I'm not complaining because I never was a huge Call of Duty fan. I don't really give a shit about the franchise as it is. And I personally think that Microsoft fucked up because they're basically bailing out Activision Blizzard, which I don't think was a smart move. I think a lot of people should have been fired. But what do I know? I'm just some guy, you know.
yeah. We're just some guys on the internet.
What do I know? But hey, that's just my opinion. So anything else you want to say till we move on to the next little bit of evidence that Microsoft announced that was kind of like, oh, I've never seen that before.
Uh, no, Sony just, that's the only thing I need to say is Sony needs to get it together and create a heavy hitting first party, you know, lineup. You know, quit relying purely on Naughty Dog and Insomniac to bail you out, I guess.
Yeah. And whatever studio makes those other games that I don't give a shit about. The thing that bothers me about Sony and Sony fans is that like like the games that everyone's like these games are really good first party games. No, they're interactive movies. Like God of War and God of War 2 are interactive movies. They are not games in the traditional sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can agree with you with that to a certain extent.
I mean, think about it. Think how games were back in the day. Like, if you did a let's play of a game from back in the day, it would be boring as hell because the game wasn't meant to be watched, it was meant to be played. Gameplay was the
Yeah,
core feature. Whereas
yeah,
games now, like the games that Sony fanboys, oh, this game is great. I'm like, it's a fucking movie. It's an interactive movie. This isn't a video game.
yeah,
Like, Last of Us 1 and 2, they're movies. They're interactive movies where occasionally you press a button, move the character around a little bit. They are more concerned about telling a story, not like what the gameplay is. Now, there are some games where that's really important. Like if you play an adventure game, storytelling is king in an adventure game. Um, it's kind of like where I think a lot of the Legend of Zelda games have kind of fallen apart a little bit, is that the stories are kind of shit for a lot of them these days. Um,
yeah,
you know, RPGs, you need a good story for an RPG in order for shit to work. If you have an RPG and you don't have a story, stuff starts to fall apart.
yeah.
And I know some people are going to get mad about that, but you know, I don't really care. But anything else?
Nah, that's it.
All right. So, um, speaking of Microsoft, um, and people messing up continuously, um, so basically, continuing with the whole UK regulation thing, Microsoft said that the reason that like why the latest ZeniMax games aren't gonna be on PlayStation systems is because those games are niche anyway,
Yeah,
and it doesn't really matter if they're exclusive because a specific audience, and to a degree they're right. Like I think the biggest most successful ZeniMax game that Bethesda's come out with was Skyrim.
yeah. I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be exclusive.
And I think it
I
will
don't
be.
think so. You think it will be?
I think it will be exclusive.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean,
there's a good hope.
it's only going to be on the Xbox, but you'll get it on PC, so it's not really going to be exclusive. But
Yeah,
like on consoles, it'll be on PC. Because here's the reason I'm going to say why. Because Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, the reason Skyrim was so huge was that they released it on everything, and also it was so dumbed down and so streamlined that people who didn't even play RPGs were playing a dumbed down, stripped down RPG.
yeah,
Because the previous game wasn't really like what's it called? Oblivion didn't wasn't gangbusters. And look, Fallout 4 didn't sell gangbusters. Fallout 76 was an embarrassment.
Yeah.
So, it just, like I can see why they would be like, well, these can be console exclusive and also hit PC, and we're still going to make money off of it because first of all, we don't have to worry about all those damn SKUs. We don't have to farm out as much bug fixing to other studios for other SKUs of the game. Because I don't know about you, I remember getting Skyrim on the PS3. I remember that game when it first came out. I bought it at launch. Let me tell you something. I remember I remember that game being so broken that if you played it for longer than 35 minutes, the game would start struggling to load areas and you reached that point where you had a memory bleed where the game would just crash and you'd lose all your data.
Yeah.
I remember into houses and going into a house and it would load but the floor wouldn't load, so I'd fall indefinitely and the game would crash. I remember Bethesda, uh, you know, up applying patches to different builds of the game, and the patches broke the game even more. Where like dragons were flying backwards, and like major quests were broken, and they had to apply patches to fix the patches to fix the patches on PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I heard it was pretty bad on the PlayStation.
It was terrible. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna let you in a little secret. The only the only time that I ever the only time that I ever returned a the only time that I ever returned a console, I mean not a console, a game to GameStop, and I got as much of my money back as I could with Skyrim because it was so broken.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I played through like maybe two or three of the like major factional side quests. I think I did the Thieves Guild, the Companions, and what was the other one? The Mages College. And then I was like, okay, I don't need to play this anymore.
Yeah.
And I played through the main quest line. I was like, I'm done. And I returned it and got my money back.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. At least you got your money back though.
I mean, I got some of my money back because it was one of those things where like you get like, because this is GameStop, where you get like I paid $63 after taxes. I wound up getting like I want to say like $53. So I still lost money.
Yeah.
I still lost my. I still got shafted. But I then took that money and went and did something else with it. So it wasn't like I wasn't like, oh my god, it's terrible. But you get what I'm saying. It's like this is what we're dealing with, folks.
Yeah.
So my point is that I'm just at this point I'm just unenthused.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Agree, disagree, don't care? Would rather do something
Um,
else?
man, judging by what's gonna happen with Starfield, I don't think anybody's gonna want their games anymore.
Well,
And
I
that
mean,
game looks terrible.
what have we seen? Did they show gameplay footage of Starfield, or did they just do another teaser?
Yeah, they showed it. They showed it this year at E3, and it looked rough.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's Bethesda. I mean, I'm not surprised. I never get surprised by Bethesda. Bethesda does some, but like the reason everyone's always like, "Oh man, Bethesda, their games." I'm like, Skyrim was good because Skyrim was so dumbed down, and we had never seen anything like it. And everything that tried to compete with what Bethesda was doing sucked. Like Gothic has some good ideas, but the gameplay is trash. You know,
Yeah,
and people get mad at that. They're like, "Oh, why'd you say that?" I'm like, "Come on, man. We all know that shit is bad.
yeah,
Ain't nobody BSing about that. We know, everybody knows that that game is terrible. Everybody knows that that Bethesda hasn't made a good game in years.
yeah. When's the last good game they've made? Legitimately.
Uh, I mean, I don't really think Bethesda makes good games in my humble opinion. I think they make games that are. I think Bethesda makes games that are. How can I put this? I think Bethesda makes games that are like by and large, I think they make games that have some interesting things going on, but I don't think they make good games in the classical sense of the term.
Yeah,
Um, I I would say the most ambitious game they made is maybe in terms of storyline is maybe Morrowind.
yeah.
Morrowind was rather ambitious. Um, that's about it. They just
Yeah, I
don't.
remember when that game came out. It got so many good reviews, and I was like, "This game looks boring."
Yeah, the thing about Morrowind is one of those games that I mean, it's very old school in its aesthetics. Like most RPGs from that time, you got to put in some quality time before they get good.
Yeah,
If you're willing to put in the quality time, they will get good. You'll appreciate the game. But most people don't want to do that. Like, and that's why Skyrim did so well because Skyrim opens up with you basically, it opens up with you essentially just being able to do practically everything. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you fight off the dragon, and the game just kind of starts. You're doing everything. You can't do that shit in Morrowind. It's like the combat system is very like you have to read the freaking manual in order to really understand Morrowind. You aren't just gonna. It doesn't have great. It's not pick up and play. And the thing is, I mean, and I give Bethesda credit for that. They streamlined an epic RPG to the point where it became very easy to pick up and play. And I mean, that's a good thing for, having a game that people can get into. It's a bad thing because They basically they took all the depth and complexity out of an RPG, but RPGs need depth and complexity.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't believe me? Go freaking play. What's it called? What's the name of that fucking RPG? Go play Paper Mario.
It's a good example.
I mean, see how basically that series. And here's the thing: Paper Mario was already kind of a. It never was that hardcore of a series anyway. It was already kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It was already kind of casual anyway. But my God, did they dumb it down?
Yeah.
It's like we want to get the lowest common denominator, not realizing that RPGs are inherently a niche franchise. It's not for everybody. Not everyone is going to want to sit there and worry about stats and leveling up and all that other stuff. Most gamers don't want to deal with that. Most gamers don't want to sit there and worry about builds. It's the reason why MMOs aren't everywhere. Because most people don't really care about metagaming and MMO.
Yeah.
But Bethesda don't care about that. Bethesda was perfectly happy doing whatever bullshit they were doing. I'll tell you what was funny, hearing Pete Hines lie. Because I remember going and I was like, yeah, Pete Hines is like, because Pete Hines lied and said that Fallout 4 was their highest selling game ever. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, there were no numbers attached to that. And also, like, everyone knows that, like, if Fallout 4 was their highest selling game ever, they would be re-releasing it like they do Skyrim.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do they think we're stupid? But apparently they did. They thought people were stupid.
No one was really talking about that game very much. I mean, they were at the beginning, but then at the end, they just
it kind of left like a wet fart. It's like, yeah, because Fallout 4 is not very good.
Yeah,
it really isn't. I know some people be like, but I like Fallout 4. Look, I'm not casting aspersions on whether someone likes something or not. I'm just simply saying that Fallout 4 is not a very good game. Matter of fact, it's kind of shit, really, to be honest with you. But that's neither here nor there.
yeah.
Anyway, I guess we can keep it moving. Speaking of stream of bad technical performances, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out. Now I'm gonna give you a full disclosure. I actually was looking forward to this game. I was like, oh, this actually looks like they're actually trying something new. It looks like something that would belong on a home console, etc., etc. But then it turns out we've been bamboozled.
Yep. Bamboozled again, guys. They got us again.
We've been tricked.
If you plop down $60, you were really tricked.
Because it turns out
you plop down $120 for the
dual pack.
Boy, were you were you fooled?
The saddest thing about all of this is that, in my opinion, this is just my own personal opinion, is that the game should be if there ever was a company that has the money to pay for some quality development, it's these people. But no, they're like, no, we can't actually spend money to make our shit run better. That's just stupid. I mean, can you believe that shit? Because, I mean, like, Pokemon is one of the most profitable IPs in existence, and they couldn't be bothered to spend money to get developers who could actually optimize the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And what makes it even worse is that if you mention this to Pokemon fans, they get mad at you. Like, how dare you? I'm like, y'all can tell this shit is not what it should be.
Yeah.
Why do you like why like my thing that gets me is why do these people accept bullshit?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, they want to believe. You gotta believe.
What they're like that they're like the they're like that song from what's it called? The Lost Boys. I still believe. I still believe. They still
Yeah.
believe. I still believe. I still believe. It's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing
Yeah.
that these fucking Pokemon fanboys. Oh my god, it's the best. I'm like, I've been saying this for years. They don't look. Listen, they do the bare minimum. Every single new game that comes out, they do the bare minimum. Like, actually, no, I shouldn't say every. I would say if four games come out, one will try something new. The other three will be just some shit. Everyone's like, "Oh no, man, don't say that. They're trying really hard." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because I'm not seeing it. But what do I know? Um, anything else you want to say before you move on to the next one?
No, no, I'm good.
All right. Speaking of utter and complete bullshit, uh, and people making excuses. Paper Mario is a franchise that was near and dear to my heart. Paper Mario began as initially Nintendo wanted to make a sequel to Super Mario RPG from the Super Nintendo, and
Yeah.
they realized they couldn't do it because of rights issues. So instead, they said, "Okay, we'll keep the same idea, but instead of it being essentially Mario being in a claymation world, which actually is fucking amazing, we'll instead do a papercraft world where they're made out of like paper cutout pieces and shit like that." And we got Paper Mario. I think the first
Yeah.
Paper Mario is fine. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's fine. I think the series really took a step forward and really became greater than the sum of its parts with Thousand Year Door. And I think in terms of gameplay, I think a step down in terms of gameplay was Super Paper Mario. But the story was so dark and so much of a step forward that I kind of can forgive how the gameplay kind of took a major step backwards in Super Paper Mario. But then they released a Paper Mario game on the was it the DS or the 3DS? I can't remember. One of the DSs that was so bad and so terrible that the series has not recovered from it yet. Sticker Star. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah. That was on the 3DS, and people were not happy with that game.
Yeah, it was bad. Um, I mean, I don't know how best to say it. It was so bad. It was so bad that I remember like hate playing that game because I couldn't believe that they had the audacity to release some shit like this. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, surely this gets better. Surely this is a joke game. No, no, it was legitimately that bad,
Yeah.
and it didn't get better. The only thing I can say about that game that really kind of makes me go, "Oh shit," it's almost worse is like that game has no redeeming features. Like
Yeah.
it has so many. That game has so many. Okay. Let me get the music in the game is forgettable. The gameplay is overly simplified. The stickers are broken. Like here's the thing: if you're fighting enemies and you run out of stickers, it's game over.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So if you're fighting enemies and you don't know what their weaknesses are, which occasionally while playing the game you run into enemies you have no idea what their weaknesses are. So like you basically stickers come in different qualities. You've got like worn stickers which you can only use maybe like 1 to 3 times and then they're done. Then you have like basic stickers that you can use like 5, 6, 7 times. Then you've got like good stickers and then premium. Premium do lots of damage. You can use like 10, 15 times.
Yeah.
Um, but basically, yeah. But the thing is like you want to save your premium stickers for bosses or tougher enemies. So you're basically you stock up with a lot of shitty stickers. But occasionally you'll run into enemies like new enemies in areas where you don't know their weaknesses. So you're hitting them with everything and nothing's fucking working. Or you're fighting a boss and you don't know what their weakness is. So you're using everything and nothing's happening. And you run out of stickers, it's game over. I'm like, who the fuck thought this was a good idea?
Yeah.
So, Paper Mario Sticker Star had overly simplified gameplay, forgettable aesthetics. Um, it was streamlined to the point where the game ceased to even be like there was no depth to the game whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that that game. There was like the developers had other ideas, but Nintendo wanted to do something different, so that's kind of why it is the way it is. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not.
I didn't hear that. I heard that the guy who was the director of that game, he's the guy who gave us Sticker Star.
Yeah.
Uh, he's the guy who gave us uh, what's it called? What's the name of that game? Shit, I forgot the name of it. He's the guy who gave us damn, forgot the name of the damn game. Origami King.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. that steaming pile of dog shit. Um, yeah, I couldn't do it. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a good game. I wish it were better, but it isn't. I don't know what to say. Paper Mario sucks. Paper Mario Color Splash wasn't good. Sticker Star is like the bottom of the barrel. Color Splash was just a little bit better. And Origami King starts out really strong. Like when you're in the wispy woods and you find out that those trees with the faces actually like are sentient. I'm like, oh, that's actually a pretty cool little thing. But there's a point in that game where you're like, oh, this is actually kind of charming. There's a point in that game where you realize, oh shit, it's the sticker star moment where you realize, oh, this isn't going to get any better. This is the gameplay hook for the rest of this game, and it's not going to get any better. And it's the point where you recruit the Bob-omb in the game, and he commits suicide in order to open up a blocked passageway, and you're like, oh shit, you can tell that the developers at some point wanted to have companions, and the director was like, "No, we're not going to do that."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh god, oh, this is what this game's going to be." Oh shit, these shitty esoteric boss battles that turn into a puzzle match, like you're playing a shitty board game.
Yeah. Yeah, I was disappointed when I saw reviews of that game. Like, well, looks like I'm skipping this one too.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I wanted it to be good. I so wanted that game to be good. Because the developers were like, we want it to surpass Thousand Year Door. Well, it didn't. I'm just letting you know, it did not. It did not surpass Thousand Year Door.
Yeah, I also think they just need to play the first couple games and then work off of those rather than
Yeah.
worrying about these weird ideas.
Well, I mean,
And
they're just
the only one I really enjoy that departed from this Paper Mario series was Super Paper Mario. But other
yeah,
than that, everything else is just uh, real dumbed down.
yeah, yeah. Or as they like to call it, streamlined.
Yeah,
It's like, oh yeah, we're streamlining. I'm like, could you please not do that? Because to me, when I hear streamlined, what I hear is, oh, we think you're too stupid to know how to play a video game, a RPG. And instead of us developing a game that really kind of, highlights those types of things, instead of doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to, we think you're stupid. So instead of actually developing a game that kind of introduces RPG concepts to you, we're gonna we think you're too stupid to figure it out. So we're just gonna strip it. We're just gonna take it out and dumb it down to the point where it's no longer what it used to be. It's offensive.
yeah,
To me, it's offensive. I can't speak for other people, but to me, it's like, so you think I'm too stupid to figure this out? At least that's how it feels to me.
yeah.
Uh, You have any thoughts?
No. It make make a good Paper Mario game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say go play a Bug Fables, which kind of feels like Paper Mario. Except the problem with the Bug Fable is that with Bug Fable is that the game gets the difficulty curve in that game is really fucking high.
Yeah.
Like it, like Paper Mario, like the first two Paper Mario games have really good difficulty curves. This game, the difficulty curve is like fucking hell. Why would you have that high of a ramp up in difficulty?
Yeah. Yeah. That does get annoying when the difficulty just goes through the roof all of a sudden.
You know, now to be fair, when playing this game, when playing that game, I also did I played it on the hardest difficulty because if you play it on normal or easy, it's too like normal is easy and easy is too damn easy. Um and then I was like fighting like hidden bosses that were really tough, but I'm like this shit is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's just my own personal opinion. Uh Anything else?
No.
All right, I guess we can move on. So I was going to talk about holiday memories, but it's not the holidays yet. It's tomorrow. I guess we can move on to the next topic. Do you have any hot takes you'd have where you're like, I think I want to talk. I think I want to mention this. Damn the
Hmm.
consequences.
Thinking about one this morning. Yeah, you go first. I have to think about one.
All right. I have two hot takes.
Okay.
The first one is I I recently got back into playing Saints Row, the reboot, after the big update where they added a lot of shit. And I gotta be honest with you, the game plays a lot better.
Oh, okay.
Like everyone was like, "Oh my god, this game is absolutely terrible." I'm like, actually, it's not that bad. It's really not that
Hmm.
bad. I mean, it's like you know, like let me put it this way: it's a double A game, um, and it's not terrible. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It was just the only game that came out that month.
and
That
people just want a
wasn't.
reason to bitch and complain.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm just like, why are people so?
I mean, it was being developed by a new team, so as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, you're not gonna have look. Everything's not gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
But what was there was pretty good. I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
Or I should say, there's some good ideas in the game, but I think it maybe could have done with a maybe. Maybe it could have done with maybe like maybe they should have pushed it back for another 6 months or so. Like maybe it should have come out. Maybe it should have come out in November, but they didn't want to put it up against like God of War and all the shit that was coming out in November. So they were like, oh, we'll just put it out now.
Yeah.
but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Um, Agree, disagree? Anything else?
Yeah, I think so too.
All right.
Um, yeah.
My second hot take is and I know some people are going to get mad at me when I say this. I think Nintendo should have put a little bit more money into making their console, maybe not gone with the cheapest components they could get their hands on with the Switch. Because as we're seeing, first party games aren't running very well on the hardware,
Yeah.
and that's not good.
Yeah, we can only hope that lessons will be learned next time, but who knows?
Man, is Nintendo. As much money as they made off the Switch, companies learn their lesson by if it doesn't make money or not. The fact that people
Yeah.
were willing to accept subpar performance and be like, "Well, it's good enough," you know, it's subpar, but the performance is good enough, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So, you know, that good enough itis took over. Do you have a free topic, a hot take you would like to bring up?
No, I can't seem to remember. Can't seem to remember what I was gonna talk about. I had it. I probably should have written it down.
All right. Well, I guess that's everything. Anything you'd like to pimp out before we wrap things up?
Yeah, Project Console, Tuesday night, 7:30, Standard Eastern Time. Hope to see you there.
All right. This is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. Thank you for joining. If you would like to get in touch with the cast, you can reach me at Discord. The link is in the description. You can also reach me at Mr. Red Fox BS Buster at gmail.com. Etc. Etc. I'm thinking of maybe opening up an Instagram account for the channel because I used to do Twitter, but Twitter's turned into a dumpster fire. So I got to have some type of social media site. So Instagram or Mastodon or something like that. It will not be Twitter, however, or Facebook or Meta or whatever the fuck they're calling it these days. So yeah, look forward to that. Next podcast will be next Wednesday, so look forward to that. Also, I'm pretty sure I will be joining Kenoshi on his cast that Tuesday. So yeah, that's the end of the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, and play your games. Peace.